Welcome back to episode 19 of Ask Me How I Know. Oh my goodness, I can't believe we made it to 19 episodes. My name is Coach Ebony. I am your resident transformation and liberatory coach, cultural strategist, and fly auntie. This is the podcast where I let you know exactly how I know that healing is possible, magic is real, and love is the answer. And we back. I've been away for a month and I haven't just been like, twiddling my thumbs. I've been living the life and doing the things. And listen, Ask Me How I Know is still a 100% solo produced podcast, meaning ain't nobody else in here but me and this software and these microphones and ring lights and things like that. But you might notice if you're watching me on YouTube, where I hope you follow me at Coach Ebony Said on all streaming platforms, all social media, actually not all social media, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads as at Coach Ebony Said, and YouTube at Coach Ebony Said. So if you're watching this and you're a YouTube subscriber or a YouTube watcher person, like, subscribe, follow along, do all the things, write a comment, share, send a carrier pigeon, twerk something. You know what I mean? Just let me know that you're feeling what I'm doing. That would be outstanding. Yeah, it's been about a month, a little over a month since the last time I checked in. Sometimes I rake myself over the coals about that, but then I remember that this is free. It is my gift to you in the collective, and also a really good way for me to kind of collect and gather my thoughts and consolidate them into a location that seems like, I just try not to say nothing unless I got something to say. And sometimes it can be difficult to determine whether or not my voice is one that is necessary to add to the cacophony of opinions and hot takes and contentious arguments and things like that, that I don't really like. I don't really rock with that. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not my MO. It doesn't appeal to me to be contentious. Very much working on my relationship to conflict and understanding that confrontation and conflict don't necessarily have to be, one doesn't have to beget the other. You know what I mean? They don't always have to happen in the same space, same time. Sometimes you just got to confront some shit and, find out that you'll find a delightful agreement and a happy resolution on the other side of that. But you won't know if you don't confront the thing that's in your face. You know what I mean? So I've been doing my own work with that. And that's been happening in the professional space for me because of a lot of the work that I've been doing over the past, I would say 12 weeks, really. The past 12 weeks have been really intense. This whole quarter has been kind of brolic. Q1 2025 was like, whoa, for the whole world, the collective, right? We started the year with the fires in Altadena in Los Angeles County. Then we had the inauguration of, you know, a fascist regime and oligarchy, or Ola Bros, or, the shit that's happening down at Pennsylvania Avenue. I lost a dear friend to ovarian cancer, and then I lost my poop to pancreatitis. And then I feel like I'm going to stop myself right there because I keep kind of like running back the tragedies of 2025 so far and like not really giving enough shine to the high points of this year, because joy and pain, it's like sunshine and rain. You can't have one without the other. You know what I mean? And so grief really lets us know a lot about our capacity for love. And joy is something that is one of my core values, is an act of resistance, and really one of our most impenetrable, indelible tools to revolution and freedom and radical acts of liberation and love come through joy, Black joy to be specific. So there has also been this amazing, this immense level of experiencing joy and deep love and gratitude and celebration that has also been taking place, that has literally gotten me through everything I had to go through. So I went through some shit, but I got through it using the tools and resources that I have honed throughout my healing journey. So when I say healing is possible, magic is real, love is the answer, ask me how I know, that's kind of what this podcast is about. It's a way for me to hold myself accountable to the lessons that I have learned and the things that I have unlearned, the ways in which I have assigned certain parts of my personality and identity to be in spaces where we exist with a more compassionate and self-aware understanding of who I am and what I am here to do. And that really has allowed for that transformation to not only be for me on a personal level, but on an interpersonal level in my relationships, and hopefully to bring me to a place of confidence where I'm able to offer my guidance, intuition, wisdom, and support to be able to benefit the collective. You know what I mean? So there is some celebration. There's a lot to be grateful for in the midst of the storms that we might be going through. There is always something to be grateful for. And a lot of times I tell coach partners, actually almost all the time, I say this fairly regularly: grace and gratitude are beautiful places to start your journey toward healing, toward self love, toward accessing calm, to regulating your nervous system, just to give yourself grace for the fact that, like, it ain't got to look like nobody else looks when they do it. To give yourself grace for however long it took you to get there and however long you got to stay when you do. That is enough, and it is fine. To give yourself grace and radical forgiveness that you don't have to do anything to deserve or to earn the rest, the stillness, the moment of quiet, the regulation of the nervous system, the moment to take a deep breath, or maybe four deep breaths before you get out of the car to go, just to give yourself grace to say, you don't have to do, but you get to be, is a great place to start, because it's something nobody can take from you, right? And then gratitude, like being unreasonable about looking for things to be grateful for, is really a game changer and a wonderful place to start. Tiny shifts, tiny mind shifts, set shifts that open up the possibility of what else there could be. So sometimes when we feel stuck, we can just find little tiny pockets of space, pockets of air, moments to breathe. We can get still and really consider where the movement, where the loose spots might be, so we can slip our way out, or maybe where the soft spot is so that you can dig a little bit deeper and find some more room. That's what I'm talking about when I say grace and gratitude are great starting points. So, but this week's episode, my notes, I have two different notes. I have a deck of cards, I have a fuzzy blanket, and a bunch of pillows. And we're just going to see where we get this week. But I feel like I needed to record this episode so that I can get to the thing that I need to be doing, which is responding to an RFP that is asking me to submit a proposal for a consulting contract. And I kind of haven't done that in a month of Sundays. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. I came off the COVID consulting facilitator uh trajectory of solopreneurship in 2022, and started working full time and coaching one-on-one clients instead of working with organizations, because organizations really tried my soul during the 2020 to 2022 2-year social justice, DEI, charging ahead era of the United States. Oh. And I experienced some burnout in doing that work. And so with this RFP, I'm being invited to, like, go back and list the facilitations and trainings and healing circles and meetings and gatherings and events that I curated and designed. I'm creating, like, custom bespoke responsive programming for organizations, individuals, teams, and schools, students and faculty, boards. And I think I'm a little bit triggered because of the amount of work that I had done and the amount of work that is required in order to submit a proposal in response to a request for proposals. Oftentimes organizations ask you for a lot more than they actually have the capacity to have you deliver. So they upfront want you to do a lot of work. And then when you deliver the timeline or the program project arc of what it is that you're proposing you do to meet or satisfy their requests, they be like, oh, that's a lot. We were really, like, maybe thinking that maybe, like, we're a little, that's kind of like a wide scope. So maybe we could just narrow it down a little bit. And it's like, I could have told you to narrow it down before I submitted this request for a proposal, but then you wouldn't have looked at it if I hadn't actually met the requirements. So you're welcome. And yeah, it's one of those things that like I said, I'm a little a little activated by that request. And so I was like, let me just kind of pull my shit together for a second so I can kind of reflect on where I have been and how all of this fits into where I am right now. One of the things that I learned at my organization's alumni reunion that I just produced was how to bring my nervous system current, how to be current and cultivate a sense of presence that will allow me to kind of come to myself, to be in a space of responsiveness without reacting to triggers as frequently or as often. And how can I practice different somatic modalities to help me do that? And one of the exercises that the facilitator, Taylor Shanae, somatic goddess extraordinaire, Embody the Revolution, please check her out. Oh my God. One of the tools that this diva gave us is to like do not so much a body scan, but to actually allow our bodies to take a certain shape that will signal to us that we are checking in for calibration, and to check, experience, and then recheck to see if we've created our own sense of spaciousness or movement in our bodies. And so there were like 4 different exercises that she shared with us on how to do that. But one that stood out to me that I have been using is this like a tongue in cheek exercise where you take your tongue and insert it into your right cheek and use your tongue, a stiffened tongue, to draw 5 circles, clockwise or counterclockwise, in your right cheek. And you can imagine if you do that right now, it kind of feels and maybe looks a little strange, but just to give yourself a moment to do that. And then on the 5th rotation, to take your tongue across your front top teeth, in between your teeth and lip, to the other side of your mouth, to your left cheek, and then take the left cheek and make 5 big circles in the same direction in the left cheek. And then once those 5 circles are complete, you'll come right out of that 5th circle and into your bottom lip, bottom row of teeth, and across that side. And I gotta tell you, I mean, I'm gonna invite you to do that now. I'll do it with you. What happens for you? But for me, it reminds me of nerve endings that I have in a different place in my body that is often clenched or stiffened or just not being touched. And it's like the soft pink part, the inside of my body that is there and is full of nerve endings and blood supply and saliva and all of these things. And it's right on my face. It's inside my face. So oftentimes what I'm thinking and what my face is fixed like are very well aligned. And so if I'm thinking a tough thought, my face is usually fixed in such a way that it is set to express my disinterest or disdain or disapproval or whatever it is that I'm feeling about what I'm thinking. And also sometimes if it's emotional or whatever, I just have an expressive face. But for all of that expression that my face does, the feeling that I allow myself to feel in my face. I had never thought that, my tongue in my cheek would open up a different space of just grounded presence in my very human body. And that moment that it takes like, I don't know, 15 seconds to do that activity, 15 to 30 seconds, is just a way to like remind myself that I'm human and to distract my brain from being ready to crash out about something that annoys me. And if I find myself needing to do that repeatedly, that has been a signal to me that it is okay for me to go ahead and remove myself from whatever situation that is. And so, most frequently in the weeks since I have returned from the reunion at the beginning of this month, I am finding that the social media is the place that be having my tongue jammed into my cheek, child, too much, too often, for too long. And so I just have to turn that thing off. I just have to turn it off, you know? And I think what I'm experiencing in relationship to working on this RFP, going back through the crates of my experience and expertise, and being current with the work that I'm doing now for my org and for the community where I feel like I have a very deeply aligned political home with people whom I love working with. And I've really kind of like found Narnia in the employment space. And I am still Not really. I'm just constantly dysregulated by social media and my presence there or absence from it, or being curious about what my purpose is in being there and why I do what I do. Sometimes it's a fun place to scroll and disassociate. Sure, you can learn lots of things. Absolutely, there's entertainment there. It's a great way for me to stay connected to friends who live in other states, and share reels and memes with the homegirls. Um, Everybody loves a fly selfie every now and then. And it's also not a real place because it is constructed according to an algorithm that is constantly testing me toward to challenge my degree of involvement in capitalism. That's what it is. And not me, I'm not special. I mean, like, all that's what it is. That's what it is. It's for all of us, you know? So influencer culture and the like, as a cultural strategist, coach, and consultant, marketing doesn't really mean the same thing for me as it does for someone who sells t-shirts or cupcakes or, I don't know, widgets, like cash and carry sort of items like SKUs, right? I don't really have SKUs to sell. Now there is some merch on my website, but I should probably take that down because, I mean, whatever. It's drop shipping, so it's fine. But that's also a whole nother jig, right? Like, where I spent a lot of time and energy getting merch up into drop shipping and was like, oh, this is expensive and a lot of work. And there's like three different parties that have to be compensated and things in order for me to reach the customer to actually get the product. And I don't love it. Anyway, capitalism. That's where I'm going with this. Thinking about the work that I've been doing for years, for my whole career, like 25 years of this. And it's not like, I understand that in 2020 something happened. You know, it's been 5 years since the murder of George Floyd, coming up on the same for Breonna Taylor, like this anniversary of the summer of 2020, of the spring of COVID's shutdown. 5 years in this new place, this new role of being like work from home in an office, athleisure wear, social isolation, no more water cooler to stand around kind of revolution that we've experienced as far as employment and even how the economy has been responding to that. There's also the collective grief of 1 million lives in just the United States lost, and people still losing their lives to COVID, and all of the things that are happening currently in the political landscape. It's enough to like really shake you. But in this 5 year cycle, looking at all the work that I've done wasn't really to it was to survive. It was like, this is the work that I do because this is the work that I do and this is what is required for me to stay on the planet as a single serving human who has the sole responsibility of taking care of myself, being a Black woman, working professional, single, without children, and not owning a home is a very particular kind of space of vulnerability. It requires a certain level of strength and savvy and resourcefulness in order to really be the bad bitch. You know what I mean? I think we think of that as more of an aesthetic, but it requires a lot of intellectual savvy and wisdom and discernment to be able to navigate a world in a singular female Black woman body in this country. That's what I'm gonna just say the things that I know. And I don't know that we talk about it a lot because it's not because of the vulnerability. It's not often that we have safe spaces where we have like a safe container where we can talk about the vulnerability of that, and how high the stakes are in these jobs, that these roles, that the savvy, greed, educated, single, you know, upwardly mobile Black woman, has, right? Like, you do all the things that you were supposed to do as a little girl. You follow the rules, you get the job, you go to school, you do the activities, you get the awards. Um, you don't have the baby, you focus on your finances, you get yourself together, you get on, you be in the gym just working on, you know what I mean? Like you do all the things that they say that you should do. You should do. Judgment. All these things that you ought to do. But they don't really talk about the why. It's kind of like because you have to survive. Until when? Until you meet a man that is going to take care of you, until you make so much money that you can afford to take care of yourself and your entire family and all your nieces and nephews, and take on the responsibility of your community and become like this matriarch and resource of rich auntie to your family and to your people. Do you do that until you have a child and then you pour your entire identity into being a mother to that child? Your identity becomes solely specific to the baby that you had, and now that's who you are, and you do that until they become an adult who now they have all the things, and then their responsibility is to take care of you, and the cycle just continues to repeat itself. Like we don't really talk about how much pressure that puts on Black girls. And then we say, oh, it's Black girl magic. Oh, she's so good at that. Oh, she's so fly. She's so we boost up a certain aesthetic, an appearance, a job title. Like we are coded in our um physical representation and adornment of what it means. Our identities are politicized. Race, class, gender is really just tatted to our foreheads, essentially, walking around out here in these bodies, in these spaces. And we're navigating systems and occupying, taking up space inside capitalism, inside institutions and organizations and companies, and in the business world that were simply not meant, not intended for us ever. So we're up against that. Our very presence alone of taking up space is an act of resistance, right? We are holding that mantle and then up against the misogynoir. And we're expected as Black women to just like do it and not ever piss anybody off and not cuss nobody out and not be mean and not be a crash out and not be a bitch and not be undesirable and not be fat and not be ugly and not be too dark and not be this and not have short hair, but you better have long hair and no tattoos, but I like tattoos because those are sexy, and you should be skinny, but I want you to have a big old ass. No, a bigger ass. No, that ass is too big. That ass looks nasty. You don't get that big, but you should have some big fat lips so you can suck my dick, bitch. Like that's lit. uh, but don't be unnatural putting all that shit in your face, bitch. Like, god damn, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. The expectations are insane. And then it's kind of like, not even and then. I don't want to rabbit hole this, but I'm just naming the shit that we hold that can weigh us down and hold us back. And yet we persist as Black women and manage to walk into these spaces and make it look easy. And we never, I don't want to say never, but when do we, how often do we have spaces where we can literally unmask, unburden ourselves, and really just work through some shit? Talk about the things. I mean, because like we're gonna figure it out. We're going to survive. We're going to get through. Most of us, maybe, will we? That's the intention, at least. But we do that without ever actually tapping into the idea of like, but what do you need? What do you need in order to be able to do that? I know you have a vision for it. You've styled it, right? You've laid it out beautifully. But what do you need in order to execute that? It is so rare for Black women that I have engaged with. I think for humans in general, but I'm talking to you, sis. It is so rare for us to consider the fact that we have needs. That having needs does not make us needy. Needs are not an inconvenience or a burden to us or anyone else. Rather, our needs are indicative of our humanity and our messages that our body sends us through our feelings to let us know exactly what we need to stay on the planet. But because of all the pressure of all of the things that I just went down that rabbit hole and named, and all the shit that I forgot and could never name because we are not a monolith and everyone is different, but you could imagine all of the pressure that we experience because of all that, we never really get to the place of the needs because it's like, ain't nobody got time for that. I ain't got time for these big feelings. Okay? No, I'm not doing it today. No, girl, no time. Okay? We're not doing that. We don't have time to crash out today. And so those needs go largely unmet. Or we find ways to get the needs met by subverting the system, by going around, by learning tools of coping and manipulation to get our needs met we go into stealth mode to get our needs met. We manipulate, we tell little lies, we set up side hustles, we sacrifice our sleep, we make ourselves small, we give ourselves away, we become codependent, we become enablers, we self-sacrifice, we do all these other things, we become victims of our own environment because we do not have a model of advocacy and haven't really conditioned the confidence that we need to advocate for ourselves. And even if we have confidence to advocate, we might not exist in spaces that are safe enough for us to articulate those needs and confidences in a way that will allow the people around us for us to trust that they will see us, and then meet our needs in a way that is collaborative and compassionate and love centered and communal and based on belonging and respect and humanity, right? And I know that this is like, it's kind of like, I feel like I'm spewing like a fire hose of all of the reasons why I do the work that I do. But I think I've been drinking from a fire hose of trauma and judgment and criticism and pain and blaming and false identities and false narratives and coping and manipulation and like finger pointing and gender wars and just, oh my God, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. I've been on social media a lot. And I don't like the way that it makes me feel. Like I said, I got to get the tongue in my cheek and roll it around a couple times every time I pick up the phone to scroll, which is a message to me that I should probably put the fucking phone down, which is, I'm working on it. Partially why I'm here. So there's this, with all that going on and being like the undercurrent for what we see, kind of like what I see. I don't know if y'all see it, but this is what I see magnified and amplified and multiplied on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, on threads. It's like, I don't know, man. I'm not even on Twitter because, like, what? I can't. And I don't really understand YouTube well enough yet I don't know. I mean, I feel like YouTube has a little bit more. You can maybe have a little more control over what you see there. But what's happening in the world as far as like popularity and virality and, you know, influencer culture, YouTube is definitely a major culprit of where some of the money resides, right? A lot of the money resides over on YouTube. Well, so I tend to resist, like, listen, I'm not an influencer, but I do feel as though it's my purpose and core value to be a woman of influence. And I think that those two things are definitively different. And I kind of have a little bit of not beef, maybe smoke, perhaps guidance, wisdom, say, for the influencers. And maybe I'm not speaking directly to influencers. I'm just kind of talking my shit, but take from it what you will. But like, influencer is a marketing term. It's marketing terminology. It's a person with the ability to influence potential buyers of a product or service by promoting or recommending the items on social media. That's what it is. You promote the items, whether or not you're doing that if you're doing that passively, like natural ads, if you're like full blown, you know, branded content, brand deal, hashtag, whatever the fuck, like however you're doing it, that's what's happening. And I think it's interesting when we talk about that, because I'm like, okay, influencing who to do what is my question. And I think that for me is a different question, because the definition of influence is the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself. So for me, as a transformation and liberatory coach for Black women, it is my intention and my work, my purpose, to maintain a healthy capacity so that I might be able to affect the character of my coach partners, so that I may be able to have influence over their development, both personally and professionally, so that I might be able to influence their behavior as leaders in leadership, so that they might be good stewards of their mission, vision, and purpose in their communities and interpersonal relationships. And it's wild to me that there's like just the tiny difference of an R between those two words. Like, influencer, I'm trying to get you to buy some shit. And I got to go tell these people, I got to go tell the corporation that look at how many people I told to buy this shit. Now, whether or not they go buy it, I don't know, but I told this many people to go buy that shit. And then they bought it. For the past 5 years, I've been trying to figure out how to translate the influence that I desire to have, or the influence that I feel called to enact or to maintain my capacity for, how to translate that into a way where I could tell more people that I have this medicine. I have this gift, this wisdom, this guidance, these tools and resources, this training, this certification, this experience that I would love to share with Black women, because when I was coming up on my way toward finding these lessons and experiences and earning and gaining this wisdom, it wasn't a whole lot of us out there being like, hey girl, I can help you with that. There's some guidance for you. You can do this, not that. Not to say that it didn't exist, but there wasn't a lot of it. And I have definitely drilled down to the details of the statistical evidence of like how many Black women certified coaches inside the ICF, which is the largest accrediting body of certified coaches. And they didn't even start to look at race or racialized data until and when they did, the numbers came back that it was like 11% of the coaches that were surveyed under that particular snapshot from that survey alone. Again, the largest accrediting body in the world, the International Coaching Federation, ICF, stated that there were about 11.8% African American identifying certified coaches in their network of survey respondents. Okay. So, which the survey response statistics were dismal, right? So, of that, it was like, based off the numbers with some quick math breakdown statistics, it was something like 8,000 Black coaches globally. Does that mean that there's only 8,000 certified Black coaches in the world? No. But that is not a lot of us. It ain't enough. Few solid niggas left, but it ain't enough. Few bitches that are really stepped, but it ain't enough. Like, word to Kendrick, it ain't enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. Yeah, it's not enough of us. So I'm like, well, damn, how do I let folks know that I have this? I got some fruit in my bag for you. Real shit. And a particular knowing and understanding of the complexities and nuances of the struggle of survival and the inherent value of your essence and your being and your life on this planet, and the willingness to collaborate with willing participants joyfully and attentively and compassionately and courageously to say, what do you need? And to sit with you through all of the difficulty of how annoying that fucking question is to answer. Because when you are someone who has been getting it out the mud, doing everything yourself, here, damn, I got it, I'll figure it out, I always do. And someone asks you what you need, very often that response is initially like annoying. It's like you're annoyed because it's like, I don't fucking know. I don't even know what I need. What do you mean? Maybe the answer is the first response, sometimes in my experience with coach partners, is like, what makes you think I need something? Like, who told you that? Who said that? Who said that? I don't need anything. I don't need nothing. I don't need nobody. And it's like, but you do though. And there's language for that. And there's support for that. And there's a way. There's a way forward. You know, there's a way forward. So you are whole and the movement needs you whole. I know oftentimes we think that because of all the things that we've been through, that there are pieces of us that have been broken, shattered, irreparable damage. And I would be so bold as to say that I disagree with that. You are whole and in parts at the same damn time. But each of those parts holds a story and wisdom and an experience about how they came to be and what their job is in the keeping of you. And all they want to do is keep you safe. All they want to do is keep you on the planet. That is their assignment. And based off the lessons and experiences of those parts and the worries and strains and pressures that they hold, they will act accordingly. And sometimes you might be like, that is wildly inconvenient. And I wish I didn't do that. Why do I do that? Why is that happening? Why does that always happen? Coaching with an actual coach, not an influencer who is trying to sell you a coaching program, but working with an actual coach, especially one trained in liberatory coaching. Transformation and equity are a plus because it's important to have a cultural competency. And some know-how in those skill sets, but a coach can absolutely walk you through getting some clarity and understanding those parts and their intentions and giving yourself a new perspective on how to see you. But you are whole, just as you are right now today. If you don't ever talk to the lady, if you'll never go see nobody, you're still whole and you're unique. There is a full diversity of experiences. Like I said, Black women are not a monolith, but I love us so much. I love us so much. And I feel like it's just my pleasure to work with Black women and femmes. I see me in you and also learn more about myself when everyone is so utterly different in the uniqueness of our lived experiences and what we've been through and your stories. And there is no like prescription to coaching. It's not a prescriptive practice. It's the medicine is as unique as your fingerprint, and celebrating the uniqueness of your individual story, your experience, your thought processes, your parts, your concerns, your goals, your dreams and aspirations. That's where the magic lies. Trying to like be like all Black girls need to come to this Black girl retreat seminar and we're all going to be, it's like, well, yes, and that can also become a breeding ground where judgment takes over and starts to penetrate the sacredness of the container in such a way where we're now kind of like shooting daggers at each other and projecting from our places of trauma. So really getting into like the healing bag of like self-awareness and being able to come into being like, first, I'm whole and I'm different. I'm whole. Me and all my parts are one, a unit. We come together, we a package deal, and I take me with me wherever I go. And I'm different. There's only one of me, and my experiences are different. There may be some similarities, but none of us are exactly the same, right? Now, what is also true, no matter what the historical trauma is is that you are resourceful. You are more resourced now than perhaps any other version of your entire ancestral line, any other elder or ancestor in your line. You are resourceful. You have access to technology and data and information and currency and wisdom and tools and things, and you are well resourced. You are more well resourced at this big age than you have ever been before. I understand that lack and scarcity are things that tend to ride shotgun in our journey, especially when we're in survival mode. We haven't even gotten to the place of thriving because we're in survival mode. And even when our resources suggest that we got plenty money, we might still be in survival mode. So our behavior and our psyche and our parts are still functioning out of a place of survival. So we find ourselves self-sabotaging. We don't really find ourselves deserving or worthy of moving to a place where we can say that we are thriving. We don't feel like we deserve that. And so sometimes we participate in our own self-sabotaging practices and tendencies to just kind of keep us small because we feel like that's where we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to transcend the experiences of our elders and ancestors. Because then what happens when they say, we think we better than somebody? Well, but here's the thing. People are inherently resourceful and wise. You gotta give people credit where credit is due. Okay. And even the people who say that they feel think you better than somebody, well, that's their wisdom telling them that they think that you better than them, or they have their own, that's their shit, but it's still some shit. You just don't have to make it your shit, right? So there's that. What else? Freedom. You have the freedom to choose how you respond to their shit, to your shit, to my shit, some shit you don't want to hear. You are at choice. You can stick your tongue in your cheek, roll it around, take a beat. You can say no, you can turn it off, you can change the channel. Well, I can't tell you how many times I have worked with folks in coaching sessions. And, like, I have pissed off some coach partners. I have had some folks who just did not respond well to some of the things that I said in our sessions. And intuitively, I might say that I have some thoughts about why that may have been, but I think that you're at choice. And I make it a point to let my coach partners know you can ask me anything, and I'm going to tell you everything. I don't have any secrets, but also our coaching sessions are not about me. They're about you. If I ask you questions, you're not lying to me if you don't tell me a truthful answer. You might want to I want to get curious about what or who are you protecting by telling the lie. Usually when that happens, it's because judgment is present or the expectation that you will be judged, or maybe your judge is like on high alert because you've been doing a lot of work judging yourself to keep yourself small and in safe spaces. And so there's this assumption that who does this bitch think she is? That really does come up a lot. Like working with Black girls, Black women, the who, how dare you see me? I didn't give you permission to see me. That's not what we do here. So there's a lot of times where there's some defensiveness, and I don't take it personal. I feel like compassion is, I understand. I get it. I get it. I get it. So I ask permission. And I'm also always inviting folks to say, like, if this doesn't land for you, please let me know. Does that feel true to you? Does that sound right? Does that feel aligned? How does that land in your body when you hear me say that? Is there another way that you might express what I just said that feels truer to you? This is what I'm noticing. It's my job to kind of just show up and observe and listen deeply and ask questions from a place of curiosity and compassion, and to be brave and courageous enough to ask you a question that I know might piss you off, but I'm also going to ask for consent, and it might piss you off first, but that's only so I can open up the transformation that's on the other side of that. And I can hold that because I do my work to maintain my own capacity and keep healthy boundaries and manage myself in my work because I'm trained to do that. Folks who do not have that practice and skill set, think they want to jump on a coaching call with you and drag you for filth and tell you what you need to do and give you all these demands and tell you this, that, and the third, and then make you go do it. And then if you don't see success, they tell you that's your fault. They blame you for it. You didn't commit. You didn't mean it. You didn't want to do the work. And it's kind of like, that's not my type, but that's that influencer shit. And I'm trying to I'm living my life as a woman of influence who is a guide, who is being obedient to what my calling and my purpose and my mission is. So I'm not on that type of time. Your freedom is important. You are at choice. But that is also why I only want to work with folks who are willing to do the work, who are ready to do the work, who understand that you're going to have to lock into your intuition, to your discernment to say, I do not like how that question made me feel. It made me feel this way. This coaching arrangement is not working for me. These sessions, I need a different time. I didn't know, that did not feel resonant or true. I actually felt this way instead. Like, actually have a conversation and a dialogue so that we can build trust. I need you to be free. I want you to feel freedom. I'm a liberatory coach. Freedom is an inside job. You got to get free from the inside. Like, that's how we're going to do it. We got to do this self-healing work first so that we can, it's like this personal transformation, then interpersonal transformation through relationships. And then it becomes a part of the collective liberation, right? So there's 3 levels to this shit. So when we first get together in a one-on-one coaching session, it's like me and you, right? And I'm bound by my own integrity and my agreement and my service agreement and my contractual obligations to say, I didn't come here to hurt you, but healing sometimes hurts. And you are at choice and how deep you want to go and how fast. And the only way that I will know that is if you trust yourself and me enough inside this container to tell me, and trust that I commit to hearing you and responding in a way that is working toward your definition of success, not my own agenda, but yours. So the last thing is possibility. So, like, are you open to the possibility? Are you willing to be transformed by an interpersonal coaching session or a coaching relationship, a coaching container? Because, like, the thing is, like, sometimes we say we want change, but we don't want to change. And it's like, well, wait. And then when things start changing inevitably, because we're to Octavia Butler, God is change. And the only constant is change. And we can shape change and shape God, right? Like, for everybody who read Parable of Sower, Parable of Talents, like, we understand that, right? We then resist change. We resist change because it's happening. We resist change when we say we want it. Like, do you mean it? Do you mean it when you say that you want to change? I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we think about, that would be nice if everybody else would change around me. If everybody else would change. Or the fear that comes up that's like, but if I change, then everybody else around me is going to think about me differently. If I change, then the people are going to know I changed, and then they're going to tell me I switched up and I ain't the same bitch. And it's like, yeah, girl, sometimes the answer is becoming a whole different bitch. Sometimes that's the whole point. Some might argue that that is the spice of life, is your ability to change situations, circumstances, your mind, change your life, change your approach, change your routines, change your habits. And I'm not saying change everything at one time. It might not even be change everything. A lot of times it's change one thing and then sit back and watch what happens. Sometimes you just take one step and then the universe is going to take 45. Sometimes spirit is just waiting for you to listen to that one sign. They just be sitting there like, and we be hard headed. We don't be listening to none of the signs, child. We don't be listening to none of the signs. We don't want to, we see the signs, don't want to. Oh, I did notice that I did know that I was spiritually gifted. I just didn't want to say anything. I did notice that I was intuitively aware of, the red flags in that situation before I even saw red flags. Something just didn't feel right. It just was, something was off in my spirit about it. I wonder what that was. I didn't even pay no attention to it. Well, so this might be a sign. This episode might be a sign that there is somebody out there in the world who like gets it and know you're not crazy. And yes, magic is real. And yes, love is the answer. And the possibility, I want you to be open to the fact that much more is possible than any of us can imagine. Much more is possible than any of us could ever imagine. But when you can be held in space without judgment, we start to interrupt generational cycles of trauma, possibility of healing. When you start to consider that it is possible, it's like, well, it's possible. I lean into that possibility. It could happen. It might happen. But what might it take to happen? I might have to change a thing. Change a thing. Then the universe starts changing some more shit. And you're like, oh shit, it's probably gonna happen. Now it's probable. And then so you change another thing. Cause you like, well shit, let me do this one too. And then the universe takes 45 more steps. And you like, hello, wait a minute. Oh shit, I see it now. That thing that I dreamt of, the thing that I was thinking of, the thing that I was afraid to say out loud, I see it. It's starting to take shape. I think that's the outline of it. Do you smell that? I can smell it. I can almost taste it. Then it becomes inevitable. Where it's like it's right fucking there. And then, every step we freak out. We doubt. Is that it? That ain't it. That can't be it. Is that it? We need a sign. We need another sign. We need a more signier sign. Because we're human, right? So that's going to happen. But the thing is, it's not about like being perfect and fixing your life to make your life perfect. I hear a lot about coaches because of the way the influencer space has like the influence with an R around coaching in particular. A lot of popcorn coaches came online and started dragging people and telling you. And now there's even like coaches on TikTok, they're going to coach you on how to be viral. But then you look at their content and all of their content is just telling you how to go viral. And so they're viral for telling you how to go viral. The fuck? A lot of business coaches that are making six figures by telling you how to make six figures. The fuck? Content strategy coaches making content to tell you how to strategically create content for your very unique self that they don't know from a can of paint. And they're going to sell you this course that they created. It's rigged. Social media is not a real place. I'm so sorry to tell you. Like, what is an influencer without accountability? Like that young man who made the cucumber salad, the viral cucumber salad from like last winter. He sliced up cucumbers in a mandolin and added like some MSG and like some cream cheese and some smoked salmon and you know what I mean? Like that guy. His video being pumped through the algorithm and going viral caused a shortage of cucumbers for like a week. Like cucumbers were like also not in season. Cucumbers were like ghost and expensive as shit. Like, why is cucumber cost $2? $1.99 for a cucumber? The fuck? Because of a TikTok? People are running out and buying mandolins, which are the slicers, right? So this influencer, okay, go back to the definition, had the ability to influence potential buyers of a product or service, a product of cucumbers and mandolins by recommending the items on social media. He made the recommendation on social media. People went and bought cucumbers and mandolins. Then people started slicing off chunks of their flesh on the mandolins. Where was the accountability? Is there accountability for that? Is there a measure? Is there a measure of accountability? Who are you accountable to? There's no like end user agreement about whether or not you're going to like the cucumber salad, whether or not you're going to be able to find a mandolin, whether or not you're going to slice your pinky off, how to handle like health and safety and cleaning instructions for how to use a mandolin if you've never done that before. Like none of those things were important. But the influence caused this huge uptick in capitalism. Yeah. And this guy had a viral video that I'm sure he got paid out of like some, influencer program or whatever on social media, however that works. I feel like accountability is something that we have gotten too far away from. Discernment, yes, of course, but also accountability. In my coaching relationships, I am accountable to my coach partner. I am accountable because we have a written agreement that you and I discuss, because we show up and have conversations where I am I am holding myself accountable, and also accepting that I am accountable to you to uphold my end of our agreement, and to check in with you at several stages through that process to make sure that you are still comfortable with our relationship. And then to notice any time that we are out of alignment with our agreement, so that we can recalibrate and come back into an alignment within the agreement, whether or not that's related to payment, whether or not that's related to scheduling, to how things look and feel inside of a session, what topics get discussed, how questions are asked, the pace of your progress, what you're thinking and feeling, what you want to focus on inside of a session. That's how you build relationships, folks. I have to have conversations about that. Like, how are you going to be somebody's ally or accomplice and they can't hold you accountable when you fuck up? There's no room for discourse or dissent or conflict or confrontation, or like, you know, a discussion where you're, like Ella Baker, struggling towards solution together, but doing it together. And in my preference, joyful collaboration. Like, I don't want this isn't doesn't have to be beef in order for us to get through it to the other side. So I have the fan on, it's making me stuffy apparently, but I'm also prone to hot flashes, yet under a fuzzy blanket, because good grief. So yeah, you got to be open to the healing. I want you to be open to the healing that is available to you. There are ethics involved in this work, and ethics beyond just what's right and wrong in like the very Western social construct, but also for me in an ancestral and spiritually led way. Like, I have a spiritual obligation to my Ori, to my crown, to my Orisha, to my faith, to walk earthside in good character, to be a person, to be of good character. So that's who I am. That's what I do. This is how I do it, and more about why and who I do it for. And I'm sharing this with you, so that I can kind of like, as I speak to you, I'm speaking to myself, to remind myself of who the fuck I am, but also to say, like, to encourage you that if it's not me, there's somebody that can provide you the level of guidance and support and leadership and coaching and partnership that you need, that you're looking for. Like, that is 1000% available to you. It is not, you're not a lost cause. All you have to have is the will to change, the will to do the work, the will to embrace healing. And the thing is, like, the change is, and I think this is going to be the last thing I say about this, but the change is not about you becoming someone else. I would go so far as to say that most of the problem is who you became because you were trying not to be yourself. Because somewhere along the line, there's these parts that are holding some story that said that who you truly are was not enough, was wrong, was not lovable, was too much, was, whatever the story might be. So you became who you thought they wanted you to be, or who you thought they needed you to be, or maybe you became who you needed to be in order to survive in survival mode. And now you've gotten to a place in your life, in your career, in your relationships, in just the general timeline of Earth 2025, where that's no longer sustainable. Those tools and methods and resources and coping mechanisms are no longer working, dear. The outcomes they are less than ideal. It's simply not giving, as the children say. And it is time to look for a new way. And this new way is not one that's going to cost you because you have to create a new identity. This new way is you saying, but who am I? And then really embracing getting to know self. getting to know self, getting to unpack and uncover those stories to like get clear on the truth and the lies and the misunderstandings and the miscommunications where the wire's been crossed up inside you, and literally rewiring your relationship to your own history, rewriting your story. I've had coach partners who get to that point and they're like, yes, that's it. And then they go, but how? How do I do that? And that's where I really light up, because I'm like, well, welcome. Sometimes it can take 3 months in coaching to get there with some folks. Sometimes it happens 30 minutes in a session. But for the most part, it's like, you know, when we really get into that thing where it's kind of like, well, okay, let's go though, right? And then we can start to look at how that self study starts to kick in. And you might say, like, I know myself. I know exactly who I am. I'm very confident on this. And that's fine. Like, maybe you're not someone who is currently in need of a coach, and that's okay. It's okay. But if you are someone who is really struggling, you know what I mean? If you have been disconnected from your spiritual and ancestral wisdom as a part of some of the things you lost in survival, I might be the coach for you. If you are needing to explore and get more information and clarity to come into right relationship with the parts of yourself that you have disregarded, that may now be shaking the cage a little bit and causing some ruckus in your life, I might be the coach for you. If you are looking for actual practical tools on how you can get back into your body, to get in relationship with your body, understanding that you are a soul and a spirit who lives inside a body that is tethered to the earth by gravity, and feeling into that scares the shit out of you, but you know that there's some wisdom there that would create some ease in your day-to-day life, and you just need to figure out how to do that and still go to work and show up and make sure the kids get breakfast and the laundry gets washed. I might be the coach for you. It might be me. If you need to reframe your relationship to Black girl magic, that it is not all lip gloss and bust down and handbags, and understanding the true alchemical nature of Black womanhood in this day and age, and understanding your ability to transmute ancestral trauma into viable, sustainable, taproot wellspring of life and living resources, I might be the coach for you. If you have been caught in a mindset where your relationship to power is where people have power over you, and you have been fighting for power over situations, and you would benefit from a reframe of understanding that it's not about power over but power within, and you want to call your power back to you, I might be the coach for you. Just saying. So, those are more like transformational elements of what coaching, that's like the big, major, juicy outcomes of what happens when you work with me. Usually folks come in and they be like, I want to be more confident at work. I want to be a better writer. I just want to speak more confidently. And in my meetings, I need to know how to navigate microaggressions at work. I need to know how to deal with the systemic challenges of misogynoir and systemic racism in my job, and how that's impacting my mental health and burning me the fuck out. I need to figure out, I need to connect to the deeper nature of my purpose and align with my core values of who I am as a person, because I feel like somewhere along the line, I got off track. I want to understand what it means to succeed without having to compromise my integrity or my dignity or my identity for the name of systemic oppression and whiteness and misogynoir and the patriarchy. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? And what would it mean to you if you could dedicate time in your life over a period of 3 months, 6 months, a year, 9 months, however many sessions, 8 sessions, 12 sessions, to dedicate time and focus to those very specific things. and to be in practice, committed to the practice of your life and your agenda of your desire for a set period of time. What would that mean to you? What would that be worth? What would be possible if you could get there? And what would it mean to you to be able to do that with a Black woman who fucking gets it? And, cusses a little bit and is like real smart and deeply experienced, but also kind of ratchet. I mean, sophisticated ratchet, as it were. The Knight of Pentacles. So it's an invitation to go on the journey with me. It's an invitation to start out, to load up, to see, like, we can head out, do something, justice. I'm very much a Libra. I don't know if this is me, but yeah, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I don't know who this reading is for. I didn't even ask, but I've been holding the cards as like my emotional support cards. So as I was gonna pull some. It's very cute. Hey, listen. So the Empress. Shout out to Just Jumanji for Afro Tarot. But listen, the Empress is like, it's giving big, big luxury. Like, it's unbothered. It's you starting out on this new journey. You come across some folks who are like, hey, listen, you got a lot of road ahead of you, but it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. You're doing great, sweetie. You don't have to study war no more or all the time. You can make an investment in your future, in your root and foundation, and trust that you're working with someone who is fair and just. And I mean, I'm definitely, if you haven't I'm like laid back in my cushions today, giving like Empress vibes, like holding my cards. But I don't know. I feel like this, yeah, Knight of Pentacles, Justice, and the Empress. Who does fuck? I think that's also an invitation for me to stop tripping about this RFP and go ahead and write this shit without feeling like I already have to see to the end of the contract before I can press send on the submission. Because, yeah, it's a little bit of new work, but it's not work I've never done before. I was trained for this and prepared for it. Knight of Pentacles, Justice is like, yeah, I mean, you got the scales, measure that shit out. Is or is it ain't? You know? Like, is this what you want to do? Yeah. And then the Empress is like, oh, sit back and let that shit come to you then. Like, absolutely be benevolent in your gifts and experience and expertise to be encouraging and not spiteful or wicked, right? Yeah. Well, anywho, I guess that's the ball game for this week's episode. I'm grateful as per usual for you listening and watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. And I'll see you back next time. I can't promise that it's not going to be a long time, but it's going to be another time. So next time, I will see you back here. In the meantime, if you are ready to do the work, my website is ebonyisisbooth.com. There are booking links and website links on all of my social media pages at Coach Ebony Said. If I ever slide into your DMs to offer you something, it will be my voice. I will send you a voice note or a video. I will never send you a text message and ask you for a session or a reading or any of that shit. Never going to do that. So you don't have to worry about it. And if I am in your DM, it's because I know you already. So that's why it's going to be a voice note, because I don't do weird shit like that. Like, again, a woman of influence, not an influencer. And I feel like that difference is stark and important to acknowledge. But I'm really grateful for y'all hanging out today. I have nothing else to add. That's it. I kind of dig my little cozy corner over here. I think this might be the new kick it spot. It was kind of that's kind of the vibe. I don't know. Let me know in the comments how you feel about it. What thoughts you have about today? What are your experiences with coaching and coaches, if at all? Do you have any nightmare stories that make you think that all coaches are scammers? Or are you curious about it? Also, if your job or professional development program, well, sometimes it might be suggested that you get a coach and it falls sour because it feels like it's a punitive measure, like it's a disciplinary action, where coaching is like a final straw before you quit, don't freak out. Sometimes the answer is you're supposed to quit that job anyway, but before you do, you should make them pay for the coaching. And you should hire a coach that you want to work with, because a good professional development coach is going to work with your agenda in mind and typically has a confidentiality clause about not being able to tell your business from your coaching session to your employer. So keep those things in mind. Should you have the opportunity to work with a professional development coach through your employer and your employer is paying for it, you want to check in with your agreements to make sure that you have some kind of confidentiality clause so that you can really get what you need out of the coaching container instead of just having someone be a minion for a corporate entity and have you in there stressed out about key performance indicators and shit like that. So, if you're interested in working with me in that regard, I can also be your huckleberry and work through professional development funds. I have some sliding scale coaching services that I'm going to be offering this year as well. So my normal coaching package is not so set in stone. I want to be able to make sure it's accessible for folks to meet you where you are. Also, so I can work with more people this year and not be so limited. I'm going to open up my books this summer, and I'm excited to get to know some more of you than I know right now. Hit me up with any questions. Please let me know how you feel about this week's episode in the comments, and I will see y'all back here next time. Until that time, continue to be light and shine. Okay, I love you.